Hi, it's me back again with another video. Um, Dancing with the Stars, season 24, week. Is it week 6 already? Yeah, it's week 6. Okay, so last night was, oh yeah, did I say this in review? Whatever. So last night was the whole big boy bands versus girl groups night that they've been talking about all season long, and the thing they've been super excited about or whatever. Um, Before I even get into it, Julianne wasn't there this week. She was off with Derek doing their Move Beyond tour, and I don't know where they were on Monday night, but yeah, she wasn't in LA. So Nick Carter of the Backstreet Boys, also runner-up for season 21, was the guest judge, and just kind of going with him. I think he did a decent enough job. He wasn't the best guest judge that we've had. He wasn't the worst. So he was all right. Everything else was fine, or everything else was the same. Um, Bruno, Carrie Ann, and Lynn were still there. Aaron and Tom were there. Max is back this week. Yeah. So, anyway, okay. Sorry about that phone ringing. Anyway, so, opening number, didn't care for it. I thought it was extremely corny and cheesy. Um, but I thought all the like album covers or like little moving whatever they were doing to show what group each um, contestant was doing was kind of cute. But the rest of it, they could have kept that. It was really thrown together and corny. Um, So yeah, we're gonna just go ahead and start with the first couple. It was Simone and Sasha. They had a samba, and they got a 35, and it was to Survivor by Destiny's Child. Um, so I'm just gonna say right off the back, I think most of the songs did not work well for the styles that they were assigned to. Um, and yeah, I'm just gonna say that. I did like, I love Survivor. I love that song. Using it for a samba was a stretch. Um, I think Sasha choreographed a really good samba though. It had a lot of content, and the technique Simone was doing really well. I think the issue with this dance came with the fact that the song was so off that it lost some of the feel and I guess the bounce, and just kind of there was just a disconnect between Simone, the song, and the dance. Not everything was working the way it should have been, but technically, her foot placement, her hips, everything was great. I thought this was much better than her cha cha from a few weeks ago. Um, I do think that the boots didn't help. I thought they kind of were also an issue with making probably the bounce not as natural. But otherwise, it was a good dance. I did think it was slightly overscored. Um, I think it probably should have gotten about a 33, a 34, 33. 35 was just too high. Although Nick was just kind of a bit, I mean, I don't disagree with his 8 that he gave it, but I thought he was just a bit, not mean, but tough. Tougher than I'm used to seeing guest judges. Um, Up next was Bonner and Sasha. Bonner and Sharna, and they had a Rumba to I Want It That Way by the Backstreet Boys. I never realized how corny this song was because it came out when I was like, what was it, that 1999? So I was like 5 or 6. Um, kind of always got just wrapped up in nostalgia of it and whatever, and just me kind of singing it in the back of my parents' car um, while it played on Radio Disney. But yeah, listening to it without like just listening to the song and just listening to it for the dance, I was just like, this isn't a very good song, lyrically speaking. Um, it sounds nice, but lyrically speaking, it's really, really. Ooh. But anyway, they got a 30. I thought it was a decent enough dance. It wasn't his best. It wasn't his worst. He definitely played it. Character wise, it was pretty decent. Dance wise, technique wise, it's what we expect from Bonner. Not much flexibility, not much range of motion, and really just kind of just very kind of like stiff and not very flowing as much as it should. Um, I think Sharna's done the best that she could with him. I'm not sure if he's going to get any better. I would like to see him get better, but I don't think he's going to get any better. And I think he's kind of at the point in competition where he knows that he's not good or as good as anybody else that's on the show. And he knows that he's having issues. And I think his body, he did talk about the fact that his body is starting to hurt. I think he's at the point where he's ready to go. And you know what? I mean, I think he's probably next to go, either within this week or the next week. But you know, I'm not mad at him. He really gave it the best shot that he possibly could, and just given the circumstances, I thought he's done a great job. And even the fact that he's kind of come out more the past 2 weeks and really shown us more of his personality. I think he's done all that he should do and all he can do. And you know what? If he does leave next week, he'll leave doing something that he probably never expected that he could do, especially about a year after his accident. So, you know, I honestly, more power to him. That's very inspirational and really, I mean, as people have said in the past, this show might have come a little bit too early for him because I think he's really doubting himself, and he's probably really still in like the rehab recovery stages of his injury, because you know, I don't think he was supposed to live, much less walk or dance. So you know, there's that. Up next, we had Nancy and Artem. They had a paso doble to Free Your Mind by In Vogue. They got a 33. I thought this was appropriately scored. I think Nancy, for the first half of the dance, I think Nancy got too much in her head. I think she psyched herself out. I think she was just really nervous. And it's due to the fact that Free Your Mind as a Paso Doble song is kind of like, when you think of that song on Dancing with the Stars, you also think about Mel and Max's Paso from season 5. I still love that Paso, even though as far as content and all that stuff, it doesn't hold up the way that it doesn't hold up to other dances that we've seen, but it's still a great dance and it's still an iconic dance. And I understand why she was so nervous about it, especially since she is a longtime fan. I understand why she's nervous about it. So I could see her kind of really tensing up and losing the shaping and stuff and kind of feeling a little bit unbalanced at the first half of the dance. But then the second half of the dance hit and she got in the zone. She was there. She was grounded. She really took control, and it was like the Nancy show at that point. And she really owned it. She was powerful and all that. And I wish she would have had that been able to tap into what she did for the second half for the whole dance, because that second half was really good. I just wish she could have had it throughout the whole dance. Um, I do think that the cage part was a little long, but otherwise, it was a good dance. Um, yeah. Up next was Nick and Peta with a jive to "Fun, Fun, Fun" by the Beach Boys. I forgot I was watching the show at this point, and so I missed about half of Nick's dance. I was on Twitter. I don't know what I was doing, but I forgot that the show was still on. They got a 28 though. I think that the judges were way too harsh on him. I do think he stayed on time. Technique wasn't great, but I think it was better than Bonner. Um, yeah, I think the judges really just weren't all that, just were too harsh on him. Um, Honestly, I think Bonner should have gotten the score of 28, and I think Nick probably should have gotten the 30. Um, I he was having fun. He was more loose than he's been. It wasn't as good as his jazz last week, but it was still better than most of his dances that he's done this season. He's starting to breathe and not be as nervous, and really starting to realize that he can still have fun. Um, I don't think he'll be around much longer. I think he'll probably be gone next week. But especially with the score that they gave. But I think he's done a good job this far. So, and he's definitely held his own with all the ringers on the women's side that he keeps calling out, and I'm so glad that he keeps doing that, because he keeps the viewers, he keeps it in the viewers' mind that, hey, the women all are ringers to some extent, some way more than others, and the men not so much. So I'm glad that he's been doing that. It keeps the show. It keeps me in the show, and it keeps me like saying, yes, please keep doing this, because this is it's just been frustrating how lopsided this cast has been, talent wise. Up next was it Normani? It definitely was Normani, and they had they had a salsa to "When I Grow Up" by the Pussycat Dolls. Terrible song for a salsa, but they got a 38. They are very lucky that they got that 38. Very, very, very lucky, because it wasn't really a salsa. There was a couple of salsa moves thrown in there that were done poorly. Well, not poorly. They were average. Some arm passes that were all right, and arm moves and that were reminiscent of salsa. That's it. The rest was like a Dancing with the Stars jazz routine. There was a lot of hip hop thrown in, a lot of hip hop, way too much hip hop, and there was some lifts that I don't think all were executed amazingly well. They were done fine, but not amazingly well. Val's choreographic tick this season seems to be having Normani do a high kick, because she's done a high kick or two in every single one of her dances. Every single one you can watch, every single one of them, and you will see that kick come out. I think Lynn was exactly where he was exactly right. He called Val out, very rightfully so, for that lack of content again, because it really just, it's frustrating, because Normani is talented, number one. Number two, she can do the dances that he gives, the assigned dances. Number three, besides Heather, she is the biggest ringer on this season. She's not a professional dancer, but she is a ringer, and she is more than capable of handling these styles and doing dance styles that are assigned to them. So it's very frustrating to see Val consistently every single week. This has been an issue for me every single week from him, for her, for most of his, actually for all of his partners since season 20 for sure. Um, that he is just skated by and not given them much of anything to work with. And it's so frustrating and it's irritating that he he just continues to do this. Yes, what he does teach them, the technique that he does end up teaching them is great. But there's so little content that he gives his celebs nowadays that it's just like, what are you doing? And it's sad because back in season 16, season 15, season 16, I actually thought that he was going to be a very good pro. And in season 17, I guess he and Elizabeth Berkley just never clicked. Season 18, he had a few moments with Danica that were good, and like his Argentine tango with Meryl that was good. With Janelle, I hated that partnership. And then season 20 came and he just kind of was like, whatever. And he was rewarded for whatever choreography, and he ended up winning the season. And from that point on, he's just been very whatever about everything that he's done. And it's so frustrating. Anyway, I think the judges were way too kind. This dance should have been around a 35 to 36, no higher, because even without all of the content and all that stuff, it was so low energy. Like, it was just, like, I know salsa is supposed to be like, you know, chill and laid back and like a club dance or whatever, and you're not just like up and like, you're like chill and cool and, you know, but this was just like almost boring to watch, you know. So yeah, up next was, who was it? David and Lindsay. They had an Argentine tango to I Want You, not I Want You Back. Is the song called I Want You Back? Yeah. This is one of NSYNC's first songs. But yeah, they had an Argentine tango to that. Terrible, terrible, terrible song for an Argentine tango. But Lindsay made it work. And I'm really glad she made it work. I think this was David's best dance, technically speaking, all season. I think he was really in the moment. He was really concentrating. He was really showing that he can do this. The technique he did was really good. The only issue, the biggest issue with the dance was the lift, in that it just wasn't as smooth as it could have been because it was such it was a large task for him to carry out, and he didn't drop her, which is good, but definitely getting into and out of the lift wasn't as smooth as I would have liked it to be. But he took care of Lindsay. He made sure he did not drop her, and he made sure she was safe the whole time. And honestly, if you are struggling with the lift, the best thing for you to do is make sure your partner is safe, and that's what he did. And I really commend him on that. He made sure she stayed up in the air. He made sure she got down to the ground safely. That's all you could ask for at that point. But yeah, the judges were way too harsh on them. They got a 29. This definitely should have been straight eights. It should have been a 32. They were just way too harsh on him. It's because he probably is getting way too many votes. They don't want him to get any further than they don't want him to go super far in this competition. They're probably scared that he's going to take out some better dancers. And I mean, I don't think they can. They're not going to be able to do this because I'm just going to say they're not going to be able to continue this because at some point people are going to notice and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" Unfortunately, with David, he is not the best dancer or not on top tier dancers, but he's not the worst. There's two people that are worse than him, dance wise, right now. So he's not the worst. He's definitely not the worst. And honestly, the show, I don't see them being able to stop him from taking out at least one more person that they expect to make it far. And that person is probably Normani. Um, because the way they score her and the way they judge her compared to the way that they score everybody else, it's kind of showing me, and then the way that they also kind of scored Heather, it's kind of showing me that she's not getting the votes that they would like for her to get. And so they're trying to keep her safe while trying to make sure these other three men, Bonner, Nick, and David, don't make it past her. I don't think Bonner and Nick can make it past her at all. I don't think they have a hope. I think David is the one that they're really scared of, which is why they're underscoring him so much in comparison to everybody else. Up next was Rashad and Emma. They had a tango. To Reach Out, I'll Be There by the Four Tops. Love this song, love this dance. They got a 37. It's about right. I think he did a very good job. Technique was fine and all that. I do think he kind of got a little carried away. And he lost his frame a little bit here and there. And I think he kind of lost a little bit control in about two places of the dance where I looked, I was like, uh-oh. But he got it together and he went back to what he needed to do. I thought the choreography was great. I thought the first section with him, Kiel, Brandon, and the other troop guy that I don't know was really good. I really enjoyed it. He fit in he honestly, I love the way not Kiel, Rashad moves. I love his quality of movement. He's my favorite. I'm gonna say he's my favorite contestant this season. Um, and it's surprising because although I typically tend to like the football players, save for the ones that aren't good dancers, and Antonio, who really wasn't a good dancer. Well, he could have been a good dancer, but whatever. Um, but I think this is the first. No, this is not the first time because Calvin last season. Um, but I think it's the first time that I've seen a football player move the way that he does. I think he's probably the best football player we've ever had on the show, without a doubt. But yeah, it was a really good dance. Emma looked amazing. I love the jacket that he had. I love shiny. And yeah, up next was, final was Heather and Max. They had a rumba to TLC's Waterfalls. They got the first perfect score of the season. I'm gonna say really quick, it shouldn't have been a perfect score only because Carrie Ann should have called that blatant lift at the very end. If she's going to be the lift police and be consistent with it for the past few weeks and make it known that she's going to be consistent with it, she should have been consistent with it this week. I do think it was a good dance. I did enjoy the dance for like the first time from her. I thought it was exactly what I've been wanting from her the whole season. I've been wanting for her to have a dance that really was amazing, and I thought this rumba was really amazing, and I thought Max finally did a good job at choreographing a really, really good rumba that was challenging for her, that was eye-catching, and that popped. And I think this was the first time that he did it. Unfortunately, he did it the week that they were eliminated. So, kind of sucks, but it's the name of the game. He shouldn't have choreographed whatever the heck that jazz routine was last week. Because, but yeah, it was definitely worthy of a perfect score. She looked amazing in that red. I liked the way her hair was slicked back, not slicked back, but it was clipped to the side. I liked that look. I just thought it was a really good dance. I liked their partnering for that dance. It was the first time, well, we've only seen her dance with Max one other time, but I thought she did a good job partnering with Max. Even though I liked her better with Alan, I liked them with that dance. Yeah, it was a really good dance, and I'm glad she at least got to go out on that dance, a dance like that. I told you all, I told you that she was in trouble and that she needed to be worried and that she wasn't pulling in the votes that people thought she was. I knew it. I said it from the very beginning of the season. She had shocking elimination written all over her everything about Heather and Max, everything about that partnership, I was like, that's going to be the shocking elimination of the season. The entire partnership, whatever, all of that, it just screamed shocking elimination to me. So yeah, fine. Then we have the team dances, which are terrible, but one was significantly better than the other, and I will tell you why. Team boy band got. I'm not going to tell you who was on each team because it was pretty obvious who was on each team. The men and the women are evenly. There's four men and women left, so obviously team boy band, team girl group is going to have men and women. Um, so team boy band got a 33. I enjoyed this dance. It wasn't great. It wasn't good, but I think it was fun. It was entertaining and it was enjoyable. Um, the boys seemed to have a lot of fun with it. I love their section that they choreographed and um, with the chairs and all that. I thought that was really cool and really fun. Very sexual, but um, it made sense because of the boy band group, whatever. Um, and I thought the pros really made sure that Rashad um, and Bonner were able to do the same moves because Rashad is the best dancer in that group, Bonner was the worst, so making sure that everybody in the group could do everything. Um, Rashad was still the MVP, still outshone everyone. Um, but I loved David's commitment. I thought David did a really good job, and Nick actually surprised me at how well he did. Bonner had a few issues, but I thought he did a good job too, and I just had fun watching it. It wasn't good, but it was fun. The teen girl group got a 34, but they mm, I just don't understand how you get that dance when you have the four best dancers. Well, not four. They're not the four best dancers, but you have four women on the team who have as much talent as those four women did. As they have a lot of talent, all four of them, a ton of potential. They're all great dancers. You have somebody who is currently in a girl group, and you come up with that. Now I'm gonna say I'm not gonna get into Artem and Sasha for that because honestly, from what I could see, that looked exactly like a Max and Val dance. So, and I don't think that Artem and Sasha really had much say in it because for the whole season, both Artem and Sasha have been doing really great for their partners, and that dance did not show anything that they've been doing for their partners. So I'm taking those two out of the equation because it had nothing to do with them. I'm also going to take the four women out of the equation because each of them did exactly what they needed to do and did well with what little they were given. So this doesn't lie on them either. They did a great job with what they were given, but they weren't given much to do at all. They were sitting around and like doing nails and brushing their hair for the majority of the dance, and then like for like a total of 20 seconds they were actually dancing. 20 or 30 seconds, I don't know, it was very little. Max and Val, why? Why did you do this? Why did you choreograph this routine? I sat there at my TV and I wasn't even trying to do this. I just remember at the end of the dance, my jaw was just like, it was a waste of my time. It was a waste of the show's time. It was a waste of everybody else's time. It was a waste of the judge's time. It was a waste of a time slot on TV. It was a waste of Quantico's time. It was a waste of the audience's time. It was a waste of the nation's time. It was just a waste of time. This was probably the worst team dance I have ever seen. And it's not because it was badly danced or anything. It was the worst team dance I've ever seen because it was such a cop out. They phoned it in. It was like they just didn't want to do it. And it's like, what was the purpose of me watching it? I just sat there and I was just like, that's it. That's all you. That's what you have to show me. That's what you have to show. You have a professional dancer, a person who dances in a girl group, an Olympic gymnast, an Olympic ice skater in one group, and you gave me that. They didn't even try. And I'm sure Artem and Sasha have probably had some objections, but because it's Max and because it's Val, they're not going to take anything from anybody. I'm not saying this is a fact, but from past history on the show and what I've seen both of them do, Max and Val, this season alone, and what crap they've given their partners this season alone, and what Artem and Sasha have given their partners, it doesn't match up that Artem and Sasha would be responsible for that. It does make sense that Max and Val would be responsible for that. That makes sense. And it makes sense with their egos and everything that I know about those two, that they would say, no, we want this done. You don't get a say. Or you can change a couple of parts here and there. Get what I'm saying? So, trash. Anyway, get to the elimination. All of Team Girl Group was in jeopardy, but in jeopardy does not mean that they were in the bottom four, bottom three, bottom two. That's not what that means. It means whoever was eliminated was the person with the fewest combined total of votes and judges' scores or whatever. That was Heather. Heather was sent home even though Nancy was standing next to her. It does not mean that Nancy was about to go home. But yeah, Heather was gone. I knew it as soon as, because I live, I'm an hour behind the live viewing of it. So as soon as everybody said Team Girl Group was going, and then people were talking about the fact that Heather got a perfect score even though she had an obvious lift in her dance, I knew right there. I was like, bye Heather. Yeah, that's it. Next week there's an immunity challenge and immunity dance thing or whatever, and it's a night at the movies. Let me know what y'all thought of last night. Last night, because I thought it was terrible. And I will talk to y'all later. Till next time. Bye.